Welcome. Welcome to Political Violence and Terrorism, PSHS 6240, here at George Washington University. So, again, welcome. Welcome to the course. For most of you, welcome to the program, as well as to George Washington University. I hope this course, as well as the rest of the courses, both fulfills your academic needs as well as your professional goals going forward. So again, welcome to the course, welcome to the program. Before I get into what this course is, let me talk about what this course is not. This course is not a course on force protection. It's not a course on link analysis. It's not a course on hostage rescue. This course will go beyond those narrow aspects of terrorism that you might have studied in the federal government or if you're coming from the military. What this course is a look at terrorism as a social and political phenomenon. Why terrorism works, or why it occurs, why it works, how it can be defeated, under what conditions it can be defeated. So we're going to look at terrorism again, from a very academic and intellectual look, as well as, which will probably be a theme that you'll see in the rest of your courses as well. We will look at terrorism from both an aspect of politics, of philosophy, of policy, of history, and of policy studies. So we're going to look at terrorism from all those different aspects as we go forward. And to start out, I just want to say some of you might be coming from the federal government or coming from the military, and you might be used to click through classes that you don't need to, you click to the end to get the certificate at the end. This is not one of those courses. You need to engage with the material. You need to read the material. You need to watch the lectures and take notes on the lectures, and they're all PowerPoint-based lectures that you'll see in the Blackboard. You need to interact with your fellow classmates and take notes and understand what they're thinking, and do that again in these sequential units. So be prepared to have that intellectual mindset in this course as well as the courses that you'll see in this program. So what are we going to do for the next 8 weeks? So this is how the course is laid out. Again, it's an 8-week course that really should be a 16-week course. But because of the compressed work schedule or compressed semester schedule, you'll be doing a lot. So I can't emphasize this enough. We're going to go unit to unit to unit. Please don't fall behind. There is exercises you have to do, interactions with your fellow classmates. If you fall behind, you'll lose out on those experiences. So again, this is a week-to-week engagement that you have to interact with in the material. So we're going to do first week, terrorism as an existential threat. We're going to ask, is terrorism an existential threat? Is it worth the time, money, effort that we put in to stop this threat? How do we evaluate what's successful? Again, we spent billions, trillions, depending on how you count it, on terrorism and counterterrorism. How do we know that's successful? What metrics can we use to measure success? So think about that again for the first week, and you'll see your discussion points in the lecture in the Blackboard. So week 2, again, 2 parts: history, a brief history of terrorism through the 4 waves of terrorism, starting with World War II up to the present day. And if you grew up with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, you probably don't know the history of terrorism, and we'll examine that in the first part. And what you'll see are patterns. You might hear that this wave of terrorism, what we're seeing now, is extraordinary or never seen before. That's not true. You'll see the patterns in history as we go forward. And then the second part of week 2 is my favorite. What is a terrorist? What is not a terrorist? This is as important now as when I first developed this course or asked that question 10 years ago, and scholars have been trying to ask that question for years before that. What is a terrorist? Was the Capitol Hill riot, was that terrorism? Are Proud Boys terrorists? Why do we think Al-Qaeda is a terrorist but not this group? So we're going to ask that from a very philosophical and Socratic method to try and come to an answer, and then you'll be doing a paper on that. So week 3, history. We'll go into a little bit more contemporary history, really the road to 9/11, and then we will touch on terrorism finance just a bit, but I really want you to focus on the history part too. And then week 4, we'll look at terrorism adaptation. Why do certain groups adapt? Why are certain groups successful while others are kind of faded into the dustbin of history? What makes one group successful and the other not? And then the second part will be WMD terrorism, and we'll look at several case studies of WMD terrorism and ask what or determine what the threat is, how big of a threat is, and you'll have a short paper on that topic. So week 5, counterterrorism policy. We will look at terrorism policy from the United States, Great Britain, Israel, and the European Union. And then week 6 will be intelligence and counterterrorism. What intelligence aspects do we need to, for proper counterterrorism? Why have certain cases gone through our fingertips? And we'll look through at 9/11, and we'll look at some of the post 9/11 case studies. And then week 7, we'll look at the American jihadists threat, ISIS and Al-Qaeda occurring domestically in the United States, and what the appeal was for so many years. And then we'll look at leadership targeting. This is high-value targeting, drones, arrests. Does that work? Does it not? Under what circumstances does it work? And final week, you'll have the final paper, and then we'll review for the final. There'll also be some documentaries on right-wing extremism. And the documentary is going to come out in the next few weeks on January 6th, which will cover the terrorism aspect of January 6th as well. So I might assign that in week 6. That documentary is not coming out until January. So we'll see. That might be something I assign in week 8 as well. And then we'll review for the final for week 8. And it'll be a pretty open week, so you'll have time to do the final paper and review for the final. So what are the work products? Again, this is where it gets a little complicated. So you'll do 2 papers and 1 presentation. You will do a presentation. I'll break you down into groups on the first day, and you'll do a presentation on a topic that I'll talk about in a second. But those are your overall work products. There'll be 3 WebEx sessions where you'll do your presentation. So here's how it will work. There are 3 papers assigned. Paper 1 is week 3, paper 2 is week 5, paper 3 is due at the end of the class. If you're in group 1, you will do a presentation for assignment 1. Everyone else will do a paper. If you're in group 2, you will do a presentation for assignment 2. Everyone else will do the paper. If you are in group 3, you'll do a presentation. Everyone else will do the paper. All right, so I want to make sure that's clear. So you're doing 2 total papers and 1 presentation. Presentation is designed so you can work in groups and learn on your oral presentation skills as well. So those are the work products. And in addition, you'll have a weekly discussion board where you will post and then interact with several of your classmates in the discussion board. And then you'll have a final. Final's not going to be gotcha questions. If you've done the discussions and you've paid attention in class, you'll do fine. Okay, so about me, again, I work at the DITRA Red Team and the DITRA Intelligence Analyst. I've been doing that for several years. I'm actually going to work on Capitol Hill for the next year or so, doing nuclear weapons stuff. But that's what I've worked at DITRA. I've worked as a Middle East analyst. I've worked as a DHS analyst. I've worked as various contracting positions. So I've worked around the Beltway for the last 15 years. And before that, I was an Army intel officer with deployment experience in Iraq and Afghanistan. So if you're coming and you're deployed, I think I can sympathize with you to a degree. So that's the intro. If there's any questions or issues, let me know. I do a weekly YouTube, so you can you'll see a lot of me via YouTube. If there's a problem or issue with accessing YouTube or low bandwidth, let me know. But I like to use video, and there's a lot of documentary videos in this course as well. So I look forward to meeting every one of you. I look forward to interacting with you. And if there's questions or issues, don't hesitate to contact me.